Welcome to Jaguar Sports Talk Nation, and I am your host, Zamar Tompkins. Today we've got a very wonderful interview going on today. And this young lady, you might have seen her around campus. You might have seen her on the sidelines at a basketball game. She is a woman of many titles, including GSU Dean Scholar Student and Student Aid Trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Sellers. Caitlin, how you feeling today?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm all right. I'm ready to talk about everything that you do. And if you're ready to get into it, we can just go ahead and go for it.
Go ahead.
All right, so for the people watching at home, please tell us, what is it exactly that you do as a student aid trainer?
So for me, being a student aid trainer, I'm able to assist the trainers in whatever they need. When I first started, it was mostly of just like, let me put away your supplies, let me just make sure your bags are stocked. But after at least my first 2 years, I was able to get more hands-on experience. So I feel like I was able to do more like tape ankles and kind of help them assist the practices and games kind of more at that point. So.
All right, and it's a very interesting and a very cool position that you do have. But for someone like myself who's like kind of wondering how you did get this position and trying to figure out the steps that you took to get there, tell me, what did it take for you to become the student aid trainer?
So for me, at least like a background, I want to go into physical therapy, and I first got this job at like almost the start of COVID, or after a few months after everything kind of settled down a little bit more. But I knew the one trainer, they didn't have any student aids at that time. And I was trying to look in and get a place like Athletico and all that, but I wasn't really able to get in. And so I kind of talked to the old trainer, which her name was Tori, and she was just kind of able to get me in and threw me right in the mix of, I think within the first like few months, I was already starting to try to tape ankles and just kind of already give me like a head start of getting everything in there.
That's really cool. You get a chance to get a lot of hands-on.
Yeah, it was a lot of hands-on initially, where it was like, I probably shouldn't be doing this much hands-on, but it's what you kind of need.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit off camera, and I'm sure the people around the athletic department know you for this, but now the rest of the school gets to know that you are a woman who usually has a whole lot on your plate. You're a physical therapy major. You're a Dean Scholar student. Student athlete at one point, and at one point you did have 17 credits in one semester, and you still finished. You still have a very respectable GPA at the moment. Tell me, how do you manage all this stuff on your plate?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I feel like with me playing travel basketball back in the day, it kind of, we'd go to school, we'd already have practice there, and then afterwards, I mean, we'd have like an hour or two to get ready, go to the gym, practice until 9, go home, and still have to figure out more time for homework. So I feel like from the start, like, I would just always have my priorities set straight of like, I don't want to go out just because I want to make sure I have my classes set in stone and all that. And then even it transferred over the workforce, where I was working so much over the summertime, but I still had to figure out like, what can I do to get my homework done? Like, it'd be taking breaks and maybe doing like an hour of homework during my break or whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna be worse this semester though, because I'm at 9 classes.
Oh, wow. You said you're taking how many classes this semester?
9. Yeah, we're gonna see if we can pull through, but we'll figure it out.
I got faith that you got it.
And yeah, it might not be the ending that I want, but I'll still at least obviously pass all of them, so.
Gotcha. So tell me, we're very happy to have you here at GSU, but I want to know, out of all the physical therapy programs that are out there, what brought you to GSU?
So the women's assistant basketball coach, Big A, he was my coach growing up. Like, I think I started with him when I was in 4th grade or something like that. And knowing that GSU has a DPT program, I would be able to get a direct admit if I graduated with an honors program. So I actually just had a meeting before this with the director of the honors program to make sure that I'm on the right track, so that when I do get to the point of graduating, I will be able to graduate with an honors and possibly get the direct admit into the DPT program. So, I mean, I feel like Big A being here kind of helped me at least get into this school and like kind of like push me forward to going here, just so that I can actually go to the DPT program and still play basketball a little bit at one point.
Yeah, well, shout out to Big A, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is a good time for us to take a quick break. So we are going to take a quick commercial break. We are going to be back with more with Caitlin Sellers after the break, so don't go far. are back. Welcome back to Jaguar Sports Nation, and we're still here with Caitlin Sellers. Caitlin, still got a few questions for you. So I do want to know: are you the first one in your family to go into this field?
At least not in the health field per se. My grandma was a nurse, and then her daughter, which is my mom, she was into X-rays and like nuke med and stuff. So that's still part of the health field, but I'm the only one going into at least the physical therapy route.
All right. And I also interested in the background part because I want to know, like you said, you have played sports and you have played sports here. Is that something that influenced like you taking this route as far as your major and hopefully your career one day, or did that help you get this position?
Yes and no. Back in the day, like early elementary, I knew I kind of wanted to go in the health field because I like being around my mom and stuff. That was always something that interests me. But then my 7th grade year, I tore my first ACL, and then my junior year in high school, I tore my second. So being in physical therapy for so long, kind of just like, yeah, this is really what I want to do. So I feel like having a little bit of background kind of helps with me going into the field because I already know of like certain areas, like obviously with like ACLs and injuries, like being able to talk to some of the kids and stuff of like, hey, like this is what it's going to be like now, trying to like make it easy on you, but at least have an idea of like what goes on and everything. So
right. And you talked just now about 2 tough injuries that you had to endure. But I want to talk about like on the flip side of you being like a trainer. Is there like any injury that's like come across you or your way that you just like had a really tough time dealing with?
So we actually had a women's soccer player just have a really big injury. Like it's one of the worst I've seen, where she tore her ACL. I think it was her MCL and LCL, or I think it was ACL, LCL, and PCL. So it's all within the knee, but just different parts of like supporting it. And it's to the point where she has to have like 2 surgeries, and it's just that one was tough to watch because it was just like you can tell she's just in so much pain, and you already know it's going to be like such a long route because usually for ACLs it's about like a 9 to 12 months. I took 12 months on both of mine. So if you already have those other added factors, then it's going to be so much longer for recovery. So that was at least the worst one there.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like really tough to just to be the person they call like when that happens, whatever. So like when that kind of thing does happen, not to pry too much, but like what is your involvement like with that?
At least for that game, it was cold outside, and I had a bunch of blankets in my car, so that was like at least my way of like, let me do something for you to try to help you make you feel better. Like obviously, I can't like do an evaluation and tell people what's wrong, but I can at least assist the trainer in like, hey, if you need this, I can come go get that for you, or for the player. Like a lot of times, like if they can't walk, it's like, well, all my stuff's over there. Like I can at least help them get their stuff and kind of get them ready to go home. Like do whatever they need to do after their injury. So.
Gotcha. And I kind of want to know, for a person like that's like interested in getting into this field, like what would you tell them?
It's a long journey. Like I probably won't graduate until I'm like 27, 28. So like just make sure you kind of go through, stick with it. Like at the end of the day, it's going to pay out and it's going to like be worth it. It's definitely going to be a long time and a lot of studying. Just make sure that you at least know your stuff and like make sure you really want to do that, because obviously you're putting in all the time. You want to make sure you want to go through with it. So.
Gotcha. And I got one more question for you. So for a person like me who's in the media field and into film, when people see me with a camera, they just assume that I do everything camera possible. Like they're like, Z, you take pictures? Can you take a picture of me? Can you do this? And I want to know, like, with you being in like the health field, is it like kind of like the same? Does everybody like assume that you know like everything as far as like medical stuff?
I feel like yes and no. Obviously, I'm nowhere close to being finished, but like with some of the classes I've been taking, it kind of gives me a like one up of like knowing some stuff. My grandma just actually had open heart surgery, and like that's on my dad's side, and none of them I feel like are any health field. And it was to the point where they're just like, well, what are we supposed to do? And I was one of the main caretakers, because like there was really no one else that I would trust watching my grandma, because obviously she needs a lot of like care and attention at that point. Even with like her medications, me taking organic chemistry, like I already know some of the stuff where I'm like, this, like you shouldn't be taking both these medications because they're pretty much the same. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that in that sense, it kind of comes in handy that you do what you do. All right. Well, that's all the questions we got for you. Thank you so much for joining us here today. For everything sports related, go to gsujaguars.com. and you've got it straight from Caitlin Sellers right there. I am your host, Zamar Tompkins. Thanks for watching Jaguar Sports Nation. See you next time.